problem at all. All right, so I think we could get started. I know I don't you know, it's a small group of us, so it shouldn't be too. I think we might actually finish early. Who knows? So we're here to get a quick orientation, basically, to Blackboard. Yeah, and and one of the well, I know most of you maybe you may have heard of Blackboard. You may have you may have used it to varying degrees in the past, may or may not have. And so we're just gonna take it. This session is really meant to be somewhat of an you know, that it's a small group of us because it can take more of an informal approach to Blackboard, using Blackboard and the features and so on therein. So it's almost like a quick crash course in Blackboard. So right off the bat, well, many of you would know I like to start with a bit of a icebreaker. All right, and so right off the bat, we're going to set a poll, and we look into how to create polls in just a bit. So right off the bat, you should see a poll with it's a yes or no poll. All right, so most of you, just as I figured, all of you have used Blackboard before. All right, and you could probably see the responses there. So today we're going to look, now that I know that you've confirmed that you've all used Blackboard, and this is, by the way, a good way to get quick, like a quick needs assessment before you actually begin your session or before you, at the end of your session. A poll is a good way to do it. There's another short way I'll show you, all right, in just a bit. But just to let you know, this is kind of, you know, you want the poll would do something like this. So before you introduce a topic, or if you might want to...
May I ask a question, Dr. Zephyrine?
Sure.
Why do we have polls in our lectures? Is it mandatory or just optional?
Polls in your lectures?
Yeah, do you have to use them in your lectures? While you're lecturing, if you want to say, ask a person who feels that foodborne outbreaks is not occurring in Trinidad owing to our culture and diet and lifestyle, can you make a poll on that? Would it be?
It's a poll. I thought you said poll. Sorry. Okay.
No, poll. Sorry about that. Poll. Optional
yeah.
or mandatory?
Optional, but okay. It's a good way to get the. You see, the thing is, especially in the online environment, you want to get engagement. Student engagement is more integral or tantamount. So while it may not be mandatory in the sense that that you're gonna, you know, suffer the consequences. Well, you might suffer consequences, yes, if you don't use it, but it's not a life and death situation. Let me say it like that. Okay. But it is tantamount to student engagement, and remember, this also impacts students' reviews or evaluation of you and the entire
it's
course.
It's an interactive way.
Yeah. So that's why I'm highly encouraging you to use it. Now you could do this in different ways, as I said. It doesn't have to be the exact Blackboard poll. I'll show you a faster way to do it in just a bit, and then go back to how to create a poll. But it definitely is essential to enhancing student engagement, getting some statistics, let's call it statistics for now, quick, rough statistics that would inform your instruction. So let's use this case in point. So I wanted to verify if everyone had experience in using Blackboard, or everyone used Blackboard before. Instead of me assuming, and then maybe it may have had one or two persons who may not have used Blackboard, and then I kind of leave them in the wilderness because I just assume that everyone used Blackboard, right? But the poll now gives me and the students insight to the extent to which, or the number of students that actually use Blackboard and those that have not, right? And so it would validate. So now students, thinking from the student side, because we want to take a learner-centered approach. So from the eyes of the learner, they understand the relevance or the meaning of this entire session on Blackboard. You know, sometimes have you ever been in a session and you want to know, well, why are we doing this? Why? What the why factor or the so what factor? And so this is one way that helps to let students know that, okay, it is relevant, it is something that you need to go through, it is something that you need to learn. When I'm in your class context, of course, I'm saying. And of course, it's an engaging way to do so, because let's face it, sometimes in an online class, students could be logged on, quote unquote, but then they're in the kitchen making a sandwich because you're just doing all the talking, right? So this is another way to gauge whether students are actually not just present, but attentive or participatory, right, in the session. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're going through the process of a quicker way of another method of getting the poll.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have
So,
a script? Do you have a script for your lecture, like a hard copy or a detailed thing of what you're going to go through with us today?
yes, I have, what I do is I have a plan, and then I also have the slides and so on that would guide the flow of the presentation. So once we have, from this particular poll, for example, I know what I need to go through and what I don't need to go through. Yeah.
Okay.
So for example, how to create a Blackboard activity in your course. I wouldn't have to go through, I might just briefly cover, just gloss over it, but I wouldn't have to go into detail in terms of how to access it in your My Learning course and all that stuff, because chances are, based on the fact that you've used it already, you've used Blackboard already, you may have that experience already. So I can just gloss over it and I know how to pace the session and I know what I need to cover or go into detail and what I can just skim through. Yeah.
Okay.
So therein lies another benefit of using the pool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. So and of course you can let me know if you have any other questions along the way. But can you see the results of the poll? I just showed you a little while ago. So everyone should be able to see the results of the poll, and we know that everyone has experience in Blackboard. So I could stop sharing that. Let me go through very quickly the salient features in Blackboard thus far. And then we'll kind of navigate or see where we need to put more focus on, yeah, and how we navigate through the session. So very quickly, oh, I'm sorry, Marsha, did you want to say anything before we get started? I totally forgot about that.
No, just if they have any questions at the end regarding the food safety course, I'll be able to answer it.
Okay, great. So guys, so you would see just below the slide. So I just showed you polls in terms of from a learner side. I'll show you polls from a lecturer side as we go forward. All right. But very quickly, I want to kind of just give you a lay of the land, so to speak. So you would see 4 icons. You should see 4 icons just below the slide that is in front of you. Yeah. So one of these, you would see, for example, right, you would see, let's start from the right side, the icon with almost like someone raising his or her hand. So that is normally what you would use if you want to ask a question. I mean, it doesn't have to be used in this case because we're a small group. But let's say you have a class that is fairly large, all right, or upwards of 10 people, right? I know 10 is not large, but upwards of 10 people, you might probably want to just state some housekeeping rules in the beginning of your session, that if students have questions, they can use the raise hand icon. Now, this functions very much like if you're raising a hand in a face-to-face class. You know, students are not going to just interrupt you in mid-sentence and just ask a question or make a comment. The protocol would normally be that they raise their hand in the class, not so? So this raise hand icon, and you could click it to suit, you would hear a sound effect, and you would also see that it'll let you know that your hand is raised. Yeah. So anybody wants to click on it? If you might be familiar with it already, but just Right, so Isabel, you just raised your hand. So let's say if I was in mid-sentence, I can finish my point and then indicate, okay, Isabel, you have a comment or a question, you could state so now. So it adds some sort of order. It's a way of managing your classroom space in the online environment, especially, like I said, if it's a large, a fairly big class, yeah, fair to large class. So you don't have persons speaking over each other all at the same time, and then you lose what people are saying because people are, you know, it's chaotic. All right. Once you have the raise hand feature, once persons raise their hands, you can then finish whatever point you were making and then give them the opportunity to make their contribution. Yeah. On the left side of that, you will see share video. Obviously, that I don't think needs any explanation, but I will say that requiring students to share their video or turn on their camera is not encouraged. It's not mandatory by any means in our university context for various reasons. Well, one of the main reasons is that sharing your video from the student side especially ends up being, it puts a strain on the bandwidth. And what happens is that it becomes a very glitchy, sometimes staticky, almost disruptive teaching and learning experience. Yeah, because things might freeze, things might stick, students might get bumped out the session or the room. So it's optional if you want to share your camera. Now, if it is you have a PowerPoint, you may not need to share turn your camera on. All right. If it is something that requires your students to see your let's say a demonstration of something or you know, your face or whatnot, then by all means you could turn on your camera, but it's not mandatory by any means. Yeah. Obviously, you know, your microphone, which is next on the left side of that, which I think most of you have been using thus far, so I don't need to go through that. And very importantly here, so you would see on the left side of the microphone icon, you would see a sort of watermark icon. And if you hover over it, you will see it indicates that there's a collapsible menu. So if you click on it, you would see some general things regarding your status in this session. So you would see your internet connection. You would see that little bar on the right side of your name. Yeah. So if it's red or yellow, that means your connection, your internet connection is not so strong. If it's green, then you know you're good to go because it's pretty strong. All right, so that's a good way just so you know you can gauge that along the way. Under your name, you would see your role or status in this particular session. For now, it's participant. In my case, I'm the moderator of this particular session. So you would see, I would see moderator on my side. Now I'm going to make you moderators in just a bit, so we'll see things the same way. But I'm just letting you know that's what you would see under your name. Now the moderator can do basically anything in a Blackboard session. They control the moderator controls the recording of the session, the PowerPoint slides, the visuals, the permissions granted, and so on. So generally, you don't want to make participants or your students moderators because then they could easily hijack your session. So that's another tip there. Instead, what you might want to do is make them presenters. So let's say if you have group presentations or individual presentations or tutorial presentations in your particular session, you might want to make them presenters because they might actually have a PowerPoint presentation that they would need to upload and share. And presenters, the presenters role allows that. Yeah. So in essence, you have three different roles in a Blackboard room. You have the moderator, that's usually the teacher who can do anything in the room. Then you have the presenter. So for example, a student who's presenting or a guest presenter, you might have somebody in the field who might need to join the session and you can share the link and make them a presenter in your particular session. And then the third rule is students, right? The students will, of course, they can chat, they can answer to polls, etc. And they can even do what I'm going to show you here. So just below your name and the status and so on, you would see feedback. All right. Now, before you do that, let's go to on the right side of the page. You would see a little blue icon with a sort of arrowhead. So if you click on that, it's on the lower right side. For those of you who may not know, it's on the lower right side. And when you click on it, it'll expand the menu to a chat. Then you would see on the right side of that, like two little, an icon with two people in it. Yeah. And you see the number of
I don't
persons
see
there.
anything like that. Dr. Zephyrine, I don't see anything like that on my.
Right. What are you seeing then?
I'm seeing Isabel, the green thing, away, leave session, feedback with
Right.
some
No. So
emojis.
Right. So I was saying before you click on that, go to the lower right side of your screen, just where you place the chat. So right. So I know you could use it because you typed in the chat. So you see next to that chat icon on the lower right side, when you hover over it, when you hover it, you would see attendees.
You mean like
correct?
Share content? Share content? Is that it?
No, not yet. No. On the left side of share content, on the left side, you would see an icon. What's that?
Okay. I'm seeing attendees. That's the icon.
That's what yeah.
You're talking about? Oh,
yeah.
So click on it. Okay, sorry about that.
So click on it. That's no problem. And so now we're going back to click on that watermark icon right under the slide that's in front of you with status and settings. And there's a reason I'm doing this. I'm trying to kill two birds with one stone. So follow me with this. So you would click on the icon, the watermark right below the slide, and you would see feedback. Happy, sad, well, different emojis. Yeah? Are you seeing that? Right.
Yes, we are.
So right, excellent. So what this would allow you to do, it's a faster way of doing a poll almost, a quick and dirty kind of poll. So if I were to ask you, what do you think about lunch, or how was lunch? I'm just giving a random question. How was lunch? Right? Click on any of the emojis there, or any of the whatever represents your sentiments. Good. So we see Laura and Marsha and Isabel are pretty happy with lunch, right? So that gives you, so if you look at the attendees list, you would see the persons who are happy, you would see the sentiments. Are you seeing that? Yeah?
Yeah.
Right. So this is a quick and dirty way, and perhaps a more interactive way of doing a poll, because you're able to now, let's say if someone said they didn't understand something, or what are their thoughts on, let's say, a controversial issue in food production, or and they right, good, Rudranath answered that. So let's say it's a controversial issue in the field of food production, generally speaking. Then you would see, okay, for example, Isabel disagreed with it, or felt a certain way about it. Right? Let's say, for example, Isabel, you were confused, right? Then I could see, okay, in the feedback, you were confused, and I could engage you on that. So why do you feel confused about it? Why are you sad about this phenomenon? Let's say, for example, it's a particular disease, right? A plant disease of some sort. Isabel, let's say, for example, you might feel happy about this phenomenon that is attacking plant life. And I could see that, of course, in the feedback. You might click happy. So I might ask, for example, what do you feel? And you are happy, okay? What do you feel about, this parasite or this disease that's attacking such and such species of plants? And Isabel, you are happy. And then I can say now, well, Isabel, why do you think that's a good thing? Or why are you happy about that? And then you could now elaborate and say, well, and what?
Oh, okay. I could chat about it.
Right, exactly. So for example, your reason might be, okay, it might give way to new plant life. I'm just assuming, right? And you notice, guys, you would see at the top of that. So let's do it again. It kills me. Right, there we go. So, like, I didn't even know that, right? I didn't think of that, sorry. So definitely. So that's and now if we were to do this exercise again, right? And we'll do it again just to show you, and Reggie, you're happy. So I'll show you. You would notice at the top, even as Isabel clicked it, you would see at the top of the attendees, that little ribbon on the right side, you would see how many persons are happy, how many persons that might be sad, how many persons might be confused. Yeah. So let's say at the end of your session or halfway through or at some point in your session, you want to gauge how students feel about or know what they know about a particular topic or issue that you covered in your session. And let's say some people stayed confused. Then you know now you can go over what you covered very briefly to ensure that all students understand what you're trying to get across. Yeah? Make sense?
Yeah.
Right. So let's try it again. What are your thoughts on the pandemic? Because they want to use something that's relevant. So you could click in the feedback icon, in the feedback space. Right, Marsha is sad. Laura is sad. Go ahead. Okay, Isabella. Or surprise.
Because there's something unusual about this virus. Something unusual.
Could you say that one more time?
Hello? There's
Yes.
something unusual about the virus.
Right, right.
There's something unusual about the virus.
Right. So, and now I can ask you, what do you mean, like, when you say unusual about the virus? What? Could you elaborate on that?
Several things, but it's too detailed to go into it now. So,
right. But you get
unusual about it.
Right. But you get the gist of how you can use this activity, right? So that's what I was trying to model or exemplify.
Now there are two things that agree and disagree. Can you use them as well? Like if you want to agree, you press agree.
Yes. It depends on what the question is. You know what I mean? How you phrase the question. Do you agree that okay, let's say using a similar question. So let's say it's a branching kind of question. So we talked about the what you call it, the pandemic. Do you agree with the implementation of the vaccine drive, or however you want to phrase it, right? And then you could have a simple agree or disagree. So you get what I'm saying? So it's a nice way to get quick feedback without you having to type a question in the poll. And now the thing with the poll is that it disappears when you go when you are preparing the poll. If you switch to another menu, you lose what you typed. So this is a quick way. Let's say if it's an impromptu kind of feedback or insight you want, or student's opinion, this is probably the faster way to do it. Yeah?
Okay.
I know I kind of jumped the gun a little bit in terms of what we were going to cover for today. So so that's just some general tidbits in Blackboard Collaborate and how you can use it for quick feedback or insight to students' views and opinions on a particular phenomenon or issue. It helps if it's a relevant issue, if it's something that may be not too controversial, but something that would stimulate students' interest and engage them in the sense that they could now debate on a particular phenomenon, and that in debating and defending certain things, it shows the acquisition of certain skills and knowledge in the field. You get what I'm saying? So and of course, the crux of all of this is really about student engagement, right? You want to take a learner-centered approach that where students are a part of the teaching and learning process, so they can learn from you and they can learn from each other, and then you can learn from them because they might state opinions and views or put forward research findings that you may or may not be as familiar with. Yeah. So it's a two-way process. So anyway, so the outcomes for today, we're gonna, of course, I think you already know how to create a Blackboard session, so I don't think we need to go through that. If not, you could state it in the chat or just let me know, verbally that you want me to illustrate how to create a Blackboard session. I'll probably just gloss over it just to make sure we're all comfortable, because I have it on the PowerPoint and I have the visuals to go with it. All right. We look at how to share content. That would be a very hands-on approach. Of course, we kind of started with student engagement. So that's the feedback and feature is one way of doing so. And we look at other ways of doing so in terms of the poll, the breakout groups, the annotations, and so on and so on. All right. I think you may know how to access the recording. If not, we can briefly go through that. That's not a problem. And generally how to conduct a Blackboard session, yeah? Or a session in Blackboard Collaborate. All right, so let's go straight ahead. So these are some of the things that we're gonna cover during this particular session. So it's not so much on My Learning, of course, it's more so on Blackboard. So you don't have to have access to My Learning to participate in this particular session. If you do, and you already have access to your course site, then by all means, you might probably want to take this time to create your Blackboard room in your course, in your actual course site, if you have access to it. If not, that's perfectly fine. All right. So these are the things we're going to look at. We're going to look at, of course, very briefly, adding a virtual room, creating a session. And more specifically, we're going to spend most of the time, since you're somewhat familiar with Blackboard Collaborate, we're going to look at sharing, screen sharing or sharing content, engagement, of course, using polls, breakout rooms, and those sorts of things, some of which you might have some familiarity with. So very briefly, of course, you need to have access to My Learning to really set up your Blackboard room or page, not page, sorry, your Blackboard virtual sessions. All right. Yes, Marshall, go ahead.
Hi. So yeah, I just wanted to interject a little bit. Well, not all the part-time lecturers have access to My Learning. Set up the room, and I will just share the link.
Okay, great. That's even better. So we probably don't have to go through how to create a Blackboard room. So that's no problem at all. So everyone here has access. Well, with everyone here, do you they don't have to access their courses, correct? You just share the link with them, correct?
Correct.
Right. And those viewing the recording will just get the link as well, correct?
Yeah, so if they want the recording, I will share the link, but obviously the students have everything there for them. So yeah,
Right.
so
No,
I will just share everything.
Right. So, but I mean, in terms of access to Blackboard, their Blackboard rooms, they don't have to create it. You create it and you just send the link to them, correct?
Correct. And I leave the room open actually, so I don't have any limits on it. So they can enter if they want to meet with students, etc. at any time.
Excellent. Excellent. So that cuts it down in half. So yes, I see Regina,
Rudy.
you have your hand raised.
Okay, hi
Rudy,
everybody. Yes, call me Rudy.
Okay.
Dr. Zephyrine, thank you for being very accommodating and you make the session very easy to follow so far. But I want to say,
Thank you so much.
I have been teaching and a long time now, part-time. I have taught via My Learning and Blackboard at MedSci, but like Marsha was saying just now, the session, the virtual session was created, and at pharmacy I was doing Zoom. I was using my Zoom link, my personal Zoom link, to do the sessions, but I know it's going to change for the semester coming, and I really never had that experience of creating the BBC session from My Learning. Now, I would have access to My Learning, most likely, I do now.
Right.
So I don't
Okay.
anticipate a my learning access problem. So if
All
you
right.
don't mind, any reference to it will still be appreciated.
Sure, not a problem at all. Well, I have it all here. So, and of course, it's just a couple of us. So I don't mind going through just at least to show you what, so you know what to expect. And you could probably take note of it because I have them listed in steps and the visuals of what you need to look for, what it would look like. So nothing will take you by surprise. If you have access to your My Learning course currently, I would recommend that you perhaps log in. So at least you can see what is being done here and you can do it while I'm doing it as well. So
Okay,
that way
I
you know
don't
you're
have.
black.
I have access to my summer course that I was doing recently,
Oh, okay.
right? But I
Right.
don't have anything for the new courses as yet.
Okay, not a problem. So I'll still show you what it looks like. You could probably take note of the steps. Of course, you'll also get the recording. So that's not a problem at all. All right?
Okay, great. Thanks.
Okay, great. So let's say you have access to a My Learning course and you want to create you want to add Blackboard to your course site. Now, the first thing you need to do, anything you want to add to your course site, you're going to have to turn editing on. That's usually at the top right side, as we see here. At the top right side, so when you log into My Learning and you access your course site, right, so you click on your course title and it takes you to your course homepage. All right. Now, from your course homepage, it will land really at the top of your course homepage with the course title and whatnot. And you're going to see at the right side, the top right side, turn editing on, just as you see it here with that little blue background on it. It's usually just below your name and a couple other things there. You click on turn editing on, and you would know that editing is turned on when you see this second illustration here. You would see icons appear all over the screen. Well, I shouldn't say all over, but at different parts of the screen to edit various things or to add an activity or resource. Let me just get my pointer. So right, so you will see edit as you see here, and you will see add a resource as you see here. All right. So what you want to do, because you really want to add a resource or activity, in this case, it's Blackboard Collaborate, you're going to click on that. All right. And that will take you to a page that looks something like this. All right. So this is the third step. The third step is what you're going to click on now, which is Blackboard. Now, it's usually in alphabetical order, as we see here. And as such, Blackboard will be, right? So you're going to see Blackboard as the second icon. Just look for the purple icon. It's the only icon there with purple in it, right? So it will make it a lot easier for you. So you click on that icon and a new page will appear. Yeah? So this page, it's literally all you have to do is state the title of the session, which I normally give it a generic name, such as virtual sessions or virtual classroom, right? And I tend to use that for all the courses that I might be teaching, just so it's consistent and that students know, okay, virtual sessions or virtual classroom, this is where I'm going. And they don't get confused with all the other stuff that's in your course site with, because some students, let's face it, may not be too familiar with online learning or Blackboard altogether. So you want to give something that's extremely clear in terms of the labeling. So you state the name of the session, sorry, the name of the activity, let's call it virtual sessions for now. And then all you do is click save and return to course. That's it. Save and return to course. And once you do that, you will see Blackboard was added to your course homepage. So this is where students will click when they need to access your session. Yeah? So see how easy that is, right? Do you need me to go over?
No.
Okay, good. So it's literally, I wouldn't even call it 6 steps. The 6th step wasn't really a step. It was just to show you that this is what it looks like, the final product. Once you're in there, so let's say you want to set up a particular specific session, a tutorial session or something of that sort. or you want to have sessions labeled by module or title, this is where you might go to, or pre-scheduled sessions. This is what you would need to do. All right. You're going to first click on the session you just created. So let's say, you know, if you named it virtual sessions, you're going to click on that, and it's going to take you to a page that looks like this on the illustration, the lower part of the slide here. All right. When you click on that, you're going to click create session. Now you will see create session in different parts. You might see it close to the top here, or you'll see it's just in the middle of the page somewhere here. Because I already had a session, I'm just seeing it on the left side. Usually you would see it at the top or the bottom of that little Blackboard. I don't want to say page, but it's an embedded kind of page. So it may be very small. So you might have to, wherever you see wherever you see create session, you click on that. When you do that, it takes you to the process of titling, giving your session a title, and pre-scheduling your session. So let's say, for example, you were going to be, you're not available to deliver a lecture next week, right? Because of, you might be traveling somewhere, or whatever the case might be. So you might want to pre-record your lecture in this case and make it for asynchronous teaching and learning. So students will review this pre-recorded lecture, and then you might want to engage them in a discussion forum or some other activities, follow-up activities. So this would be a good avenue if that is the case. So you give your session a title. In my case, I like to call it Module 1 and the title, Remote Learning. So you could do it per topic, per module, per whatever your naming convention might be. All right. Once you do that, you scroll a little further down and you insert some of the details, such as your date, the time. If it's an open session, meaning that you will manually end the session. The session will not block you or close off when the time has passed. You know, for example, has anyone ever used the free Zoom account? Yeah, where you get 45 minutes, and at the end of 40, or have you been in a trial Zoom account, and after 45 minutes, the meeting ends and everybody's bumped out, it just abruptly ends. You could be in mid-sentence, it will end. Leaving it as an open session allows you the flexibility of ending it when, let's say, before time or after the set time for the session. So let's say we had, after the session is completed, somebody wanted to stay back or meet with me very briefly to discuss other matters, to go through something with them, you know, whatnot. I normally leave my sessions as open sessions, yeah? And it ends when I end the session manually, all right? By closing the window or whatever the case is, or the page. So once you click, of course, you want to state your entry time. Now you could be allowed, it goes up to, I think, an hour, 60 minutes, that persons can join the room before the session actually starts. That's optional if you want to do it like that. I tend to do that just so persons have that time to work out their technical kinks or glitches ahead of time, so it doesn't take up time in the class. So for example, in this session here, I was here roughly 20 to 30 minutes before the session started. All right. And that's why I kind of found it suspicious that, okay, at minutes to the hour, I realized, you know, I didn't see anybody. So I sent an email to Marsha, right? Because I know normally persons within 5 minutes before the session, you'll have at least 1 or 2 persons, depending on how large the class is. So it gives you a little more time to iron out certain things when you have that time beforehand. And once you click create, it comes up here as you see. And to join the session, of course, you're going to click on your Blackboard room. You're going to just see something like this, which is what I just showed you. And you want to click these 2 buttons to join the session. So that's if you're doing it through a My Learning course. If you are not and you're just getting the link, you just click on the link that Marsha provides, and it will take you straight to this page, right? So we're all familiar with this page because we're all in it now. Now, you would see on this page a couple different icons here and there, which is some of the things I just showed you. So you see the icons at the bottom of the page with the microphone, the camera, and the raise hand icon. And you would see on the right side, the collapsible menu, so to speak, the ribbon, with the chat, the attendees, the adding or sharing content, and even amending the settings. So you could change settings while the session is still going on. Yeah, whether it is you want to disable students from writing on your slide or chatting or whatnot, you could disable those things as you see fit. And it's just part of classroom management. All right. At the top left side, and I know I'll go through this, but I probably just mentioned it here so I wouldn't have to go through it later on. At the top left side, you would see here another ribbon, right? This is really where you might want to start or end the recording primarily. So this is where you get it. Sometimes you might see a pop-up blocker because Blackboard was updated recently. And you might see, not pop-up blocker, sorry, you would see a pop message up here, close to the top right side, prompting you to record the session, or if you want the session recorded. All right? So far we went through these different things, adding a virtual room from your My Learning course, creating a session, and joining a session. So I know all of that, that might just be relevant to some persons, because most of you might just get the link and join the room. So I think joining the session room was relevant to you as well. So Rudy, was that good for you?
Yes, that's quite fine. I was familiar with via My Learning, how to add files and go and set up exams and actually share my lecture notes and stuff like that. So the difference was really going into the Blackboard, the BBC icon, and then from there creating the session. So that was quite helpful.
Like that. Great, no problem. And of course, you'll be getting a copy of the recording. So it's always, you'll have it on hand as a refresher. So when you get your course site, you can go over either in your notes or use it looking at this video.
Okay, yeah, great. Much appreciated, yeah.
No problem at all. So we're moving on now, guys, to these different things, uploading and sharing content in Blackboard Collaborate. And there are different ways to do that, right? You can share documents, you can share, obviously, PowerPoint, you can share your screen. Let's say you can share videos, you can share links. There are different things that you could share through different avenues in Blackboard. Now, right off the bat, whenever you want to share a document, you're gonna have to go on the share files or content. So what I'm gonna do now is make you presenters. All right, and that would allow you to share either your screen or add a document. Now, let me just say one time that when you're sharing documents and uploading it to Blackboard, I recommend that you make them into PDFs, right? Because if it's just a plain PowerPoint or a plain Word document, well, it wouldn't really take a Word document, but Blackboard would only recognize images, let's say JPEGs, and it would recognize PowerPoint, but it tends to skew the layout of your PowerPoint. So I recommend converting your PowerPoint or whatever document, your Word document, etc., to PDFs.
How do you do that, Dr. Zephyrine?
Great. So when you click on, when you're saving your document, so let's see, you could try it now on your end if you'd like. So you can open up a Word document. Open up a Word document or a PowerPoint, any document you want to open up. A Word document, a PowerPoint document.
Okay.
even if it's one that you had before, because you're not going to lose what you already have. This is different. So you're going to click. So when you do that, I have it here as a matter of fact to show you.
Okay.
Right. So what you're going to do is click Save, go to File at the top right side.
Okay.
And you're going to see Save As. Are you seeing that?
I'm writing it down so I remember. Save as, and then what
Save.
else?
Right. So you click File. That's at the top right, left side. Sorry.
Yeah.
Right. And then it'll show you a menu what to do, whether it's to save, save as, print, etc., etc. What you're going to do is click Save As. When you click Save As, it might ask you to select the folder you want to save it to, whether it's desktop or flash drive or whatnot and whatnot. Right? You click on whatever folder you want to save it to. And then, you know, you would see a window where, let me see if I could share my screen very quickly.
Yeah, I know.
What's that?
Yeah, I know you're talking about XPS is also there and all kinds of stuff.
Right. So you're gonna save.
Yeah.
You're gonna save it. You're gonna see where you see Save As type in that window that appears. You're gonna and you could either rename it or not. You would click on that drop-down menu that normally says PowerPoint presentation. That's the Save As type, and you're gonna find PDF.
Okay. So it's a better
Right.
method of presenting your PowerPoint. You have to
Yes.
convert in PDF. Okay.
Yeah, because especially, and I know
Is
in
that
your
because
field.
data jumps around?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
PDF prevents it from being like if you have a table, for example, or some sort of matrix or graphic or labels that I know you might have in your field. You don't want those labels to be skewed and then give students the wrong information. So when it's a PDF, it prevents Blackboard from augmenting or skewing your file or the content in your file. Yeah?
Okay, good to know.
No problem at all. So once you have your document, your PDF, now you would see at the lower right side, next to, remember we looked at the chat and attendees and so on. Now you would see in the middle icon on that lower right side, you would see an icon with an arrow head, with an arrow in it, a right angle. I can't describe it, but just look for the arrowhead. Next, on the right side of attendees, and it's gonna say share content. Yeah? Right, once you're there, you're gonna see a menu that looks something like this in this particular slide. And in that menu, you will see share files. So you click on share files. Now you can add your content through different ways. Now, if you, let me just click here. You click on, now you could do it two ways. You could either drag it into this dotted box that you see on the right side there, or you could do the long way of clicking in the box and then adding your file as you see here. But the fastest way is just to open your folder and drag it into this dotted box. So let's see, you could do that now. So you could, I'm looking for persons to add their files now. So go ahead and do it. I'll give you a couple seconds to do that. And this is important because if you have a PowerPoint or a graphic or a research article that you expound upon in your presentation, in your session, this is how you're going to be, this is how you do it. So you can just drag, you should see the dotted or perforated box on the right side. So just drag the file, you can find your file wherever it is, your PDF, and drag it into that box. Let me know if you get any difficulty with it.
Got it.
Okay, great. I'm actually seeing quite a bit. Nice. So we have ancient Mesoamerica, and then we have an article. I hope I pronounced it correctly. And then we have an article there, a couple different articles. So good. So we have a good bit of files here. And I say a variety, I should say. So I think the one with Incan water supply is an image, correct?
Yeah.
Right. So click on that. Anybody could click on it because we're all presenters at this point. So click on it, and you would see it would swap my presentation for that graphic. So all you have to do is click on it, and you would see share at the bottom of the lower right side of the screen. Share now, right? And there you have it. And from this now, you could elaborate on that. Sorry?
Okay, could you upload a YouTube video on your BBC?
Right, so we get it. I'll get into that in just a bit. Good question though. So from here now, you can elaborate on, let's say it's the water cycle you want to highlight here. I'm just giving it because I wouldn't know this, but
it's so well constructed by the Incas who live in Peru and other areas of Latin America. You can't put a knife between the stones. I'm saying one stone, this stone is a beautiful irrigation system for their crops.
Right, exactly. So you see how you could elaborate on it, right? Now, let me go on a limb here. I know I'm digressing a bit because I was going to cover this later on in the session, but I'll do it now just because I think it would allow for a greater, probably more efficient approach, right? Now, let's say in this case, you wanted to highlight, Isabel, something that you mentioned in your description there. Something about the line between the rocks. Is that what you were saying? Something along those lines?
They're so closely fitting. They are done manually instead of a machine.
Right.
Was that kind of technology? If you push a knife, you can't because they're so tightly done, so well done.
So what I need, right? So
you have
this
watertight. You have a watertight system.
So what I'm going to show you here would be something that would enhance that explanation or that expository piece, right? In terms of helping the illustration. Now, one of the things you could do here with a graphic, or even with the other files that we have here, you can annotate on this graphic. Now, to do that, you would see some icons at the top of just on the top right side of this particular graphic. All right. Let's say you would see a pen icon. All right. And you might even see shapes. All right, or a line. Now, in my case, I might use a pen. And once you've clicked the pen, you can select the weight that you want to use. All right. You might want to select the color. Right, so I see somebody's doing it already. All right. And once you've done that, you might want to highlight, for example, the space. So what I tend to do, I know mine is a little bit on the thick side, but you might want to highlight, yeah? So I just drew an arrow to highlight what I'm speaking about. Yeah, in some cases, you might want, right, so I was highlighting the spaces that, the spaces in the between the stones that the Incas built. Right, exactly. So you see what I'm getting at, right? In some cases, you might want to just include a shape. It might just be an area you want to highlight. Now, I'm not good with the shapes as such, or you could just use a straight line and draw it right there, right? Yeah, or you could use a rectangle. You could change the shapes to suit that little arrow next to the shape icon. Where you do so, Isabella, I see you wanted to draw a square, so let me help you there.
Yeah, right.
Right.
You want to write? of the Income Empire. The other empire, the Incas.
Mhm.
In Peru.
Right. So
Then the Machu Picchu is there
I'll get to
one of the
that in just
mystic place. Okay.
right. So we see now we could easily draw, and the reason I'm showing you this because I think it's important in your particular field as well, probably more than some others, because illustrations, let's face it, is a big part of what you might be using or incorporating in your lectures and so on. So this is just a good way to do that. What I do as well is to engage students. Sometimes I might just show a graphic and have students insert the labels. So, for example, let's say, let me just clear this. I'm clearing annotations. And to label now, you're just going to click the T at the top right side. So just now you use the pen and the shapes. Now you're going to click on T. It's a sort of tile icon at the top right side, just over the slide. And you can determine the color, the font size, the you know, if you wanted the opaque or whatnot. But anyway, so once you do that, you click anywhere you would like to type. And let's say I might call this here waterfall. Yeah, or runoff, I don't know. And I can change the font size. That might be a little too big, so let me change it to font 12 maybe. And I can change the color so you'll see it a little more pronounced. The blue. Right? And there you have it. So I have that there. So you can go ahead and label different parts of this diagram. Or you could put a label as Isabel wanted to do. You could put the label at the top of the graphic. Right. And if you want it smaller, Isabel, right, before you click, so let's undo it now. Now I'm just going to show you how to make it small. Like
how do you undo? How do you undo?
You would see at the top right side of the slide, you would see a little bin with a, yeah, I can't describe it. Basically next to the shapes icon, you would see a little bin.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. And you click clear annotations and it will clear.
Okay.
All right.
There you go.
So it came off. And now what you want to make sure is that your font size is small enough. It doesn't take up too much of the space, especially if it's more than one annotation that you would want to include. All right.
So you do like
so guys,
Microsoft Word document. Okay. So
I didn't get that. I think it faded out a little bit. So guys, feel free to
it's like Microsoft Word document on the font size, which is next to your font choices.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so guys, feel free now to add some labels to this diagram if you can. So you might know the type of rock, if it's limestone, if it's, you know, whatever it might be, or
granite.
Granite, right? So somebody could put granite. Somebody could put, I think Isabel, you had some other label there. You could put that back in, but just smaller. Somebody might want to put waterfall or runoff. Somebody might want to put algae, yeah, or moss, where we see here. Somebody might want to put grassland or as we see grass at the top there. So go ahead, guys, and insert your labels in this graphic. Right, so I see that algae. Now be reminded, be mindful that you can change the background color of your label. You can change the font color. You can change the size of it, font size.
Okay, one quick question, Dr. Zephyrine. Can the students also write on this? What have you this?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, good.
So
okay,
right, even though you are presenters, students can write on it. So if I were to put you back as participants, you can also label this diagram. So that's what I was saying, like in my sessions, what I do is upload a graphic and then have them insert the labels as a sort of review activity. Yeah?
Yeah, there's algae, yes, the greenish stuff.
Right.
I
Somebody
have
could
a,
put.
hi, Dr. Zephyrine. I have a question though.
Sure.
Like, remember I told you before I would use Zoom and I would share screens and share my PDF. And I will
Right.
normally share the PDF version of my PowerPoint slides because it allows me to annotate. But when I do it in Zoom and I use a Mac, so I have all my preview
Good.
tools, annotation tools, easily available, and I can use it while in Zoom. Now I noticed
Right.
that the available options are restricted to BBC, and it may not
Right.
always be. In teaching statistics, say for example, my course, I have to move very fast. Sometimes I will circle, sometimes I would write things while teaching. It's
Right.
like you're writing on a whiteboard, but over your slides.
Yes.
Do you think
So,
that
so
BBC has restrictions with that?
no, because remember in Zoom you're sharing your screen. I'm assuming so, yeah. So while you
Well,
are writing on
not so much the screen. Well, not so much my desktop as much as just the file itself.
no, but you're sharing. Yeah, in order to share the document, it's almost like a screen you're sharing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
right. So like your PowerPoint, you would need to open your PowerPoint and I guess put it in slideshow mode or whatever the case is, to share your PowerPoint in Zoom. With Blackboard, you can also share your screen. So I'll show you that in just a bit. So this is just sharing documents
Okay, okay,
in Blackboard. Yeah. So once you share your document in Blackboard, it means that you're doing this so that students can also add labels and annotations to your
okay,
presentation or slide or image. Now, if it is that you are demonstrating something, in that case, you might share your screen, which I'll show you in just a bit.
okay,
All right.
okay.
So,
Yeah.
so good. So we have, right. I see someone is playing with algae and the arrow and the highlights at the back. Very good. Very
Algae,
nice. Very
yes,
nice.
it's a
Right.
microbe.
Right. So you're definitely on point with this. Now you can do the same thing with an article and a PowerPoint. So let's go to, somebody could click on, let's say, assessment regulations. And click share now. Once you click on it and then click share now. Right. So we see this here. All right. Now to navigate through the different pages in this particular document, it's the same as you would do for a slide. So you would see a little thing with an arrowhead at the bottom of this document. Right. So go ahead. And now you could make it bigger, but it'll be bigger for your screen alone. So that's just something to be mindful of. So you would see on the top left side, sorry, a plus sign. Now, when you click on that plus sign, it makes it bigger for you, not for your students, just for you. So you are able to see if it's something that, to make it easier for you to see or to read and whatnot. Now, let's say you wanted to highlight a particular thing in this article. Yeah, you could easily do that by you could easily make annotations in this particular, the same way you would do it in the other thing, you could do it there. So let's say I want to draw your attention to, let me just get a shape. I'll do a rectangle. And I want to highlight something in this particular page, right? That it's particularly important for students. And I could go ahead and elaborate on it, right? Because sometimes in an article or case study or something of some sort, you mightn't be talking about the entire article. You might want to bring their attention to something specific in the article. Or let's say if it's in stats, you might want to highlight the use of the application of a particular formula and where things are salient, the salient aspects of that formula regarding and determining a particular outcome. So that is something that you might want to use to highlight. Or even here, let's say it's a process, right? So let's just stay on this side, this one. Okay, stay right here for now. All right. And somebody's
Going
moving
back.
it. All right.
I'm going back.
Right.
This one. Okay.
So let's say I'm going to this one. And I want to highlight a particular part of the process. I can do the same process where let's say I want to highlight this part of the process, the end. All right. And I can put this here. And of course, I could elaborate on it and say, well, okay, this is the end result of this entire process. If it's, let's say it was a chart showing flooding, I could show, okay, the chart shows, well, okay, what led to the flooding and what the flooding led to, yeah? Causes and effects of flooding, right? And of course, the final step would be financial loss of, financial strain, breakout of diseases, or something of that sort, damage to property, etc. All right? So that, even though I digressed, because I was really trying to show you how to share content, I tried to show you how to engage students using annotations. All right? So when we get to it later on in the PowerPoint, I'll just gloss over it. I wouldn't have to go through it again. But any questions on annotations and sharing documents?
For sharing a YouTube video.
Right. Sharing a YouTube video, I think you can do it in two ways. You can share a YouTube video by one, copy and paste in the link in the chat, just as you would. So let's say, for example, if I have a YouTube video, let me just pull one here. All right. And I'm looking for something on, I'm just going to pull a random video on blended learning. All right. And I just want the link to it. So I'm going to copy the link. And I can just paste it here for
onto the, okay.
Right? Now in a case like this, you want to share it like this because students will allow, well, you could share it like this and students can look at it one time on their devices, and then you give them a little time, however long the video is. Let's say if the video is 3 minutes.
You just
you give them
copy and paste the,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. If the video is 3 minutes, you want to give them 4 minutes to look at it and come back, because it might take a while in some cases, depending on their bandwidth for the video to load. So you could give them the link right here, and they look at it, and you give them 3 minutes or 5 minutes tops, depending on how long the video is. So they can look at the video, reflect on it, think about it, what stood out to them. You might have some activity attached to the video, or a class discussion, or some sort of follow-up activity, right? So you could paste the link there. The other way to share a YouTube video would be to go back to share files. So you would see the share content. Let me just put up my PowerPoint so you could follow as well. And instead of saying share files, in this case, you might click share screen. All right, so let's go from this page, this particular page that's supposed to be coming up in just a bit. One sec. So instead of clicking share files, you might want to click share screen. I think that's normally the option there.
Right. You have select with screen on it.
Right. So when you click share screen, let me just go back so I make sure you see exactly what you're supposed to see. So you'll see share application or screen. When you click on that, you would see a sort of pop-up window. Now don't click anything yet. You'd see a pop-up window, right? First off, you want to make sure you would see at the bottom of that little pop-up window, share audio. So make sure and click on that box. Because remember, your YouTube video or whatever page that might have some audio in it, you want them to get the audio, right? Not just see the visual. So You click share
I
audio.
don't see that. I don't see that on my Dropbox. I see allow cabbccollab.com to see a screen. Windows screen. Select Windows screen with the arrow.
Right. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Wait. So you're seeing. So did you see the pop-up box with choose what to share?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Hold on.
Let's
Select
go back.
Windows screen. Is that it?
No. Follow the. So let me go back again. So you're going from this page here.
I did say share application /
Right.
screen, and I got
Right.
a Dropbox that says allow ca whatever.com to see a screen. Windows screen, then
Oh.
there's an arrow. Select Windows screen. Then is BBC Collaborate 20th August. Entire screen.
Right.
Do you have that
So
also?
what? Right. What browser are you using?
Oh,
Is it?
that's a good question. I'm supposed to use Google Chrome.
Yeah.
Right now I'm using Firefox.
Right.
I
That's
certainly
okay. That's okay. So that's why you're seeing something a little different to what is.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And
go
if
with
you
the
use
program.
Safari,
Use?
Safari, I know Rudy. One sec.
No,
I know Rudy
I
is
have
on.
okay.
I know Rudy is on uses a Mac to some extent. So in a Mac, Rudy, well, you could get Chrome on a Mac as well. But if you happen to be using Safari, you might see something a little different when you try to share your screen in terms of the menu, the layout of the menu. All right.
Okay.
Now there's a reason I'm also saying use Google Chrome for Blackboard, because there's something called a Chrome tab that makes it even easier. So you can see entire screen, but you don't ever want to share your entire screen, because if you share your entire screen, you're gonna get a kind of ripple effect visual that could it's not the most pleasing visual. All right. So what you would do is click on, what's that? Okay, so what you would do is click on Window. If you're on Chrome, you would see entire screen, Window, or Chrome tab. Click on Window for now. And once you click on Window, you will see all the pages that you have open. And when I say pages, not just all the windows that you have open. Let me say it like that. All right, whether it's a Word document, a PowerPoint document, Excel spreadsheet, whatever it is, all the different windows that you have open will appear, and you need to select one. Yeah. So I'll show. Let me just do a quick print screen.
So you'd recommend using Google Chrome?
Yes, that is the university's recommendation too. It's the most compatible search engine for Blackboard.
And how do I get out of this screen?
Right. So I'm not sure which screen you're on.
This the Dropbox that I had from selecting share application screen. How do I
Right.
get
So
out?
no, you're not coming out of it. I was gonna ask you, what are you seeing?
I'm seeing Blackboard Collaborate BBC 101, 20th August 2021. And there's a screen, a smaller screen of what is on the larger screen now. The screen that was there originally that we were doing the work on,
right.
There's a smaller screen.
What are the instructions are you seeing on that page? Is it that you have to select something or allow something?
Allow or block. Block has an arrow.
Right. Click allow.
And mute website, okay. Oh, there you go. And then something came up, sharing Firefox, stop sharing.
Right, so you're sharing the page. Now, what happens here is that, right, so you're sharing the entire window, and this was the visual that I was referring to that could be a little, make you look, it's hypnotic to say the least. So what you're gonna do is click stop sharing. It should be at the bottom of your screen, I believe. Stop sharing, right? And you're going back now to share application or screen. Yeah. Share application or screen. And you should see, let me just, what's that?
There is no a screen came up, Justin Zephyrine moderator, Dr. Singh, Rudanath Singh presenter, and +2.
I think you're wrong. No, you're going back to share screen, share application or screen.
Okay, I want to click on that. No difference though. Change view, should I do that?
No, okay, let me explain and show you how to do it. All right.
Okay.
So once you click on the middle icon and you see share content, you would see share blank whiteboard, share application screen, share camera, share files. So when you click on share application screen, you would see a window that looks something like, let me just show you what it looks like here. I think it's this one. You should see something that looks like this. All right, I know I didn't really tweak it's just a print
I got
screen,
it
so
now. I don't know.
Right, so I'm just making it a little bigger for you. So could you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Right.
Okay,
so
one
you would
quick
see,
question about security. When you're on the BBC Collaborate, could somebody hack into your system? Is it easier for somebody to hack in your system?
No. Because this is remember, it's a campus specific platform too, so you have that additional security.
I mean from a personal computer, not a computer authorized by the UWI.
But no, there's no way for someone to hack into your, what do you mean, hack into your machine?
Yeah, well, it does security risk by using BBC Collaborate?
No.
On your own computer?
No, there's no. Because remember, it's just like how you would use another platform like Zoom, right?
Okay.
They're comparable. They're more or less the same thing. It's just a video conferencing platform. So so you would see a screen that looks something like this. Is everyone seeing a screen that looks something like this?
Yes, we are.
I tried to make it right. Now you're not gonna click. Let me get a little something to highlight it for you. Highlighters. I'm gonna just put a quick shape so you'll see what I'm referring to. Now you're gonna click on, make sure it's Windows, right? You just remove the shape and a bigger outline. All right, are you seeing that?
Yes, yes, I am.
Right. So you're gonna click on Windows. All right. On Windows, you're gonna see all the pages that you have open. So if you have a PowerPoint open, what else? An Excel spreadsheet open. So you're gonna see all the different windows you have, which I'm showing you here. Right? What you're gonna do is click on the window. So you would see this one is highlighted in blue because I clicked on it, and then you're gonna click share. All right? Yeah? When you click on share, the image your screen will be shared. So in the case of Rudy, where you might want to show the application of a particular formula, all right, you might use this procedure.
Yeah, I follow.
Yeah, but of course you might use your whiteboard or whatever whatever tool that you have to illustrate in real time how to navigate through the particular formula or equation or stats.
Yeah, but Justin, I just wanted to ask something quickly.
Sure.
In other environments, I would teach using, let's say, Microsoft Teams, right? And when we try to do sharing, I don't know if you're familiar with it. Sometimes to share a PDF file is never an option. So the annotation aspect of it is really a major limitation because you can't even pull up a PDF. So what I unfortunately had to do was to share my desktop, but that is
Right.
sharing your personal space, and I don't like that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, is it that what you can do is it doesn't let you share a PDF, you said, right?
At all, at all, at all. I think it's a limitation. I do not know if it's the Mac as a limitation using Office,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's just a Microsoft Teams issue. But
Right.
I
I know
often
sharing.
have to, yeah, I often have to share my desktop, and I
Mm-hmm.
mean everything is shown.
Yeah, I know.
I don't like that.
Yeah. I know screen sharing is not how to say the most user-friendly thing in in Microsoft Teams. Um, I'm not sure what. Well,
Well,
that may be an.
the question I really had is that coming back to BBC here, when I
Mhm.
was listening to you, I was wondering if the share application / screen, because I never used that, if that was
Mhm.
going to really be the desktop problem that I was having. But
Right. No.
fortunately it
Yeah.
isn't. Yes,
No. It's.
fortunately it isn't.
I think with as far as I remember with at least when I use Teams at least on a PC, I haven't used it on a Mac. Um, I don't get that um where I can only share my desktop. But then again, like I said, I use it on a PC.
No,
I never use it.
I have the access to the other windows, but unfortunately,
Mm.
if I open a PDF file, you will
Mhm.
never see PDF. I will see PowerPoint, but not PDF.
Right. I will look
And
into that. I will look into that. And you tried it on a Windows PC as well, right?
no, I
Or
tried it
just
only on
right.
my Mac, but I have Office, right? So when I join Microsoft Teams and I
Mm-hmm.
click share screen, even though I have my PDF file open and I have my PowerPoint, only the PowerPoint is appearing as an option.
Yeah.
And with
It
the,
might be. Mhm.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
I was saying it might be something, but try doing it. Try doing the same thing on a
PC.
PC, Windows. Yeah, and let me know if you get the same problem. Because it's something worth troubleshooting if the problem persists. All
Okay,
right.
great, great.
But yeah, just I think I haven't heard about that before. Like I said, I only use Microsoft Teams on a Windows PC. So you know what I mean? So I don't know if maybe that might be the compatibility issues there. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't think it should be a big issue, but try it on a PC and then let me know if the problem
Yeah,
persists.
yeah. At
All
least
right.
troubleshoot it from that end and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
no problem.
Right. And then of course from there we'll know, well, okay, if it's something that we need to look at in the back end to fix. Right.
Yeah, yeah. But for sure, what you are doing here, I know that once I'm using BBC, share application will work because I will just open up my
Yes.
file and take it from there.
Yeah. And like this page I'm showing you here, it
Yeah,
it lets you decide what to show, whether it's your desktop, which you probably don't want to show, but the specific file or page that you want to share.
yeah,
But
yeah,
you must have it open first. Sorry, let me back up a little bit. You must make sure that the file or the window is open before you share it. So that's another thing that you might want to check on your Mac. If the PDF is open, then Teams should pick it up. Right? Try
yeah, yeah.
opening it.
Well, for sure, I had it open because I've struggled
Okay.
with this for
Okay.
3 terms. So
Oh,
opening was not solving the problem.
okay.
But
All right.
here
Great.
you are suggesting here we have to open it um before
Yes.
we.
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
all right,
When you open it,
great.
because it'll only pick up what you open. So
Okay,
because it's a screen sharing kind of thing, so you have to open your file.
yeah, yeah,
All right.
gotcha.
And I think I've seen in some instances, like if it's open but minimized, it may not pick it up. Just be mindful of that. All
Okay,
right.
okay.
Okay, great. Any other questions? Now, of course, you'll do the same thing for if you were to share a YouTube video. I know Isabel had that question. It's the same
Yeah.
process, but the first step would be, now you would normally see a little box down here. Um, just back on that thing, sorry. You would normally see a box on this a little small checkbox on this side to share audio. All right, you want to make sure that is ticked first, and then you go to Windows. All right, and that way it will enable your audio to be shared with the video. All right. So I think we're doing good so far. So we covered a good bit of things in terms of sharing content, in terms of setting up BBC in your courses. The next thing we're going to look into is just recap the process. Again, you're going to click on the icon at the bottom right side of the page, as we see here. All right. Then we're going to click on Share Files. If it's a file that you'd like to share, and remember the file must be a PDF. And then you're going to locate your file. And then you can either drag it or go through the long way as we see here, but you could just drag it into the dotted or proofread. Once you do that, you click on the file and then click Share Now as we see here. Now, one of the good things with uploading your document into Blackboard Collaborate, like what we did earlier, is that you get to see what is coming beforehand. So if, for example, remember I said when you did like the basic feedback pool activity we did at the very beginning of this session. And I said, well, okay, if students stated an opinion about something or realized that they stated that they were confused about something or they know something already, you could kind of skim through or gloss over or skip to different things in your PowerPoint. The reason you could do that is because you get a side panel that shows you all the slides that come or pages that comprise your document, whether it's a PowerPoint, whether it's an article. You see all the pages here on the right side, and then you just click on any slide or page that you want to elaborate upon. All right. It makes it easy to skip, and this is one thing that you wouldn't be able to do with Zoom, because with Zoom you'll have to literally go through the slide as is, unless you hide the slide beforehand. But but that's still a little disruptive. So with Blackboard, it allows you to skip, let's say, from slide 6 to slide 20, right? Because you know that students already know a particular thing that they need to know, a formula, a phenomenon, right? Any questions on that? No? Questions about anything thus far? Yeah. Okay, great, Marsh. Thank you for that. So now we're just going very briefly into recording a session. This is a one-click thing, so we don't have to, and I think I showed you that already. You could just breeze through this part. Again, to record your session, it's at the top left side, as we see here. When you click here, you're going to see a menu to start recording, and that's it. Simple, eh? And I don't think you would want to leave the session to see until the session is over, in which case you could just click X and the window will close. But you definitely want to remember this part, because remember in our remote context, we were mandated by the principal to ensure that sessions are being recorded because of connectivity issues with students and so on. So you want to make sure that your recordings are saved, so that students can subsequently go and review, or those who couldn't make it could, for whatever reason, whether it's an emergency, they can go and look at it for revision purposes, or even in preparation for exam. Yeah. So to give a quick check of what we've covered thus far. We looked at adding a virtual room to a My Learning course. We looked at creating a session in My Learning for Blackboard. We looked at joining a Blackboard room. And in one case, we looked at from My Learning, from within your My Learning course, and also when in instances where Marsha sent link, right? Remember, we just click on that link and it takes us straight to a room that looks something like this. Then we looked at uploading and sharing content. All right, mainly in PDFs and JPEG format. And now we're going to go into other engagement features in Blackboard. Now, we already looked at annotations. That's one engagement feature. We look at polls. We kind of looked at it already, but we look at it a little more. Obviously, chat, we looked at that in terms of sharing content there, in terms of links to videos, etc., etc. With the breakout rooms, that might be a little difficult, but we'll try to do it nonetheless because the session is so small. Either way, we'll still try it, so at least we get the experience. So let's go straight into it. Engagement in a Blackboard session can be done through screen sharing. In the case of, you might want to share a screen to show a particular phenomenon, a particular statistical formula of some sort, or a particular phenomenon, or video even, or even a game. A game, let's say, well, of course, you would have heard me talk about game-based learning in previous sessions and so on. You could share your screen where you have the game board, and you are sort of navigating through the game board while engaging students. Yeah. So that's fun. Just as you would navigate or you through let's say if you were sharing a screen, Rudy, to work out a particular equation or some sort of statistical analysis. It would be the same way for a game. All right. You could share case studies because you could share documents, right? So you could share case studies as well. So let's go straight into breakout rooms. Now, breakout rooms, this is really where you put students into what you call it, groups, and have them go in their own space to collaborate. Now, before I do that, I think we talked, I'm not sure if we talked about it before. I want to show you privileges, roles and privileges. Now, I'm going to make Marsha a moderator. So everyone, can you go into attendees, the attendees list, please? And once you're in the attendees list, you're going to see all your name and everybody else's name in this session. Next to that, on Marsha, you would see the three dots next to each person's name. Could you make Rudy a moderator? Now, to make somebody a moderator, you would see the three dots, in next to on the right side of the person's name. So Rudy, you would just make a moderator. Rudy, can you add Laura as a moderator? Right. And Laura, could you add Isabel as a moderator? Excellent. Good. So Isabel, to give you the experience now, could you add Laura as a participant, please? Right. So good. So you have some experience with this. Rudy, could you add Isabel to as a presenter, please? Right. So this is how you make you change the different permissions in a particular session. So like I said earlier, if a student has to present in your class, that student might have a PowerPoint presentation they need to make. That is how you make the student or students presenters. Remember, you don't want to make anybody else a moderator in your course, in your sessions, because especially if it's a large session, because they could easily hijack the session and it could be a mess. All right? Yeah? So keep that in mind. Any questions so far? Okay, great. Excellent. So let's go straight into breakout. Yes, Marsha? Marsha?
Hello, can you hear me now? I think I was talking
Yes.
and my mic was off.
Okay,
I
no.
was curious about make captional. What is the rule of the captional?
Right. The captioner, I think, is really the person who helps with what you call it, speech to text kind of thing, and that, you know, that sort of thing. I think so. I may be wrong, but I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, thanks.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's go straight into breakout groups very quickly. Breakout groups, they like I said, it's a way of engaging students. So not everyone will see it, but most of you will. So let's make Laura, see you're a participant, and make you a moderator as well. To do this now, this is a particular, you have to be very careful and follow my instructions here, right? Because if you don't, then we can all be pushed into a breakout group, and then we could lose the recording. Now, really, the moderator should not be in the groups, all right? So I'm gonna make some of you participants or presenters, all right? And one sec. And good. So I'll make some of you participants or presenters, and maybe let's Marsha, you do mind? I'll make you a presenter, right, or a participant, and I'll add Rudy to just to give some experience in doing this as well. All right. So Rudy, you should see now that you're a moderator. I want you to click on the middle icon as you see here in the slide. Click on the middle icon. Yeah.
Breakout.
And you're gonna,
For breakout groups, you mean?
breakout.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yes. And once you do that, you should see a menu that looks something like this. So I want you to assign 2 groups if you can.
Now there are 2 groups already.
Right. Good. Because there are only 3 presenters here.
Yeah.
So and because of that, I think it would automatically assign the groups as 2 in one and 1 in one group. Correct?
Yeah. Maybe I can move someone from one group into another.
You can, yeah. But for the sake of you know, this because remember it's only 3 persons that you have to play with. So so we could leave it as is. Now, once you do that, you can basically scroll down and click start. Now, before you do that, you would notice, as you see in the graphic here, guys, the illustration here, it would allow you to distinguish whether it's allow participants to switch groups. I normally disallow that because I don't want people going all over the place and becoming chaotic. And normally it would ask for you to whether you want it as a random assignment or custom assignment. A custom assignment means that you want person A input in a specific group or with specific people in a group. Yeah? If it's random, then the system just does it for you randomly. So Rudy, could you click? Now do not allow, do not include moderators in this group, in this breakout group, please. So make sure that is unticked. All right. And then you can click start.
I just want to make sure that I heard you clearly because my phone was just ringing there. You want me to start, but you want me to ensure
Right.
that.
But do not allow moderators in the, sorry, do not include moderators in the breakout groups. Make sure that is unticked.
Are
you seeing that close to the top of that menu?
The top, I'm seeing randomly assign a number of groups. I'm not seeing anything else.
You're not seeing anything with moderators?
No, I'm not seeing anything with moderators. I'm only seeing allow attendees to switch groups, shuffle attendees. And on top, way on top is just to assign groups, randomly assign or whatever, and then number of groups.
Okay, wait, hold on. Something is, because I'm seeing, but you're seeing I'm in one group, correct?
Yes, you are in group one. You, Isabel, and Laura.
Right. So we don't want that because this is so I'll probably just illustrate it here, guys, because I think if we go, because it's so few of us, if you go to do that, and the system wouldn't really allow, I'm not sure why you're not seeing that option but I think it's because it's so few of us to allow, to not include moderators in the breakout groups. Yeah.
And that will normally be appearing on top, right?
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't do it now because I don't want to disrupt the recording. Because if I go in a group and Rudy goes in a group, then we'll have two separate recordings for one workshop. So I don't think we want to do that. But and I think the system is doing that because if we are not in groups, Rudy, then it would kind of throw off the numbers in terms of, I think it's trying to count us because it's really just, besides you and I, it would be 3 persons. And it's trying to, the system is trying to see how it could make 2 groups out of 4 or 3 people.
Yeah.
Right? So I wouldn't go forward with this particular activity, but I'll show you how it's done. So as you see here, let me back up a little bit. So you click on breakout groups, all right? Then you would see some of the settings you want to specify, all right? To assign groups a customized assignment or a random assignment. Always disallow participants from switching groups, so at least you manage the activity. Now, in the main room, you should see, you would sometimes see the moderator remains in the main room, as you see here. All right, or you might see an option to that says do not allow moderators in groups, in group assignments, right, or in breakout groups. Once you click on that, then it ensures that you stay in the main room while the students are working in their breakout groups. Yeah. Now, if you go into a breakout group, that's perfectly fine. Let's say during the course of you give them 10 minutes to work in their groups. You might actually go in each group to give them some guidance accordingly, and that's perfectly fine. Now, it's okay if the recording stops on your end in your course context, because remember, the recordings are all stored in your course. I'm just not doing it in this session because this is not a course. This is just a one-time workshop webinar. So if I do that, then you'll have 2 separate recordings to look at, and it may not be as, how to say it, efficient, yeah, as opposed to one whole recording. So once you click all the settings, once you configure all the settings and so on, All you have to do is click start, and then that is it. So in this case, we wouldn't go into breakout groups, but just know that this is a process. All right. What we will do, however, is create a poll. Now a poll, it's like I showed you before, it's not, if you have, for example, you want to do a multiple choice of some sort, or a basic yes or no question, like what we did at the beginning of this session, you might want to use a poll. Now the thing with this, you will have to have your question pre-typed, let's say in a Word document or a PowerPoint document of some sort. Why? Because the poll, things tend to disappear when you switch the page. So I'll make everyone moderators. And Marsha, you're a moderator now. Okay, great. All right. And once we do that, you can go to, right, so we see the instructions here. You're going to go to that little middle icon with share content. And then you're going to click on polling. Polling. And what do you see? Can anybody tell me what you see?
There are the two options, either multiple choice or yes,
Excellent.
no.
Excellent. So in this case, you could click either one. Either one is okay. I tend to do yes or no. Reason being, is that when I'm in the middle of a session, I don't have time to really type over all the options and questions and that kind of thing. What I do is type them up, let's say in a Word document or a PowerPoint, so I can just copy and paste. So when I'm trying to transition between speaking and a poll, it's a quick fix. I don't have to stop speaking and take 5 minutes to type up an entire poll and then click start. You get what I'm saying? So it's always a good idea to, if it's a really poignant question, that you have it typed up, maybe in your PowerPoint notes or something, and you just copy and paste it ahead of time into the poll. Right. So we have here, is HACCP more important than that? What's that?
Take my class and then you understand.
There we go. You see, what do both acronyms mean?
They are both food safety management systems.
Oh, okay. There we go. And of course, everyone could click the responses that, right?
No.
So I would click no because you told me to. And and once you click lock poll or show responses, we should be able to, right, there we go. Right? Once it's in purple, then you know the results are being displayed. All right. So, and we can end the poll by clicking on this little square icon in the middle of the, on the right side of it. So you can click the square icon in that circle, or you can click the X. Anyone is fine. It might be better just to click the square icon in the circle, right? Good. Excellent. And that's how you create a poll. Anybody wants to create another poll? You could probably create one more. Yeah. Nice. Is it raining where you are located? No, which is weird because it was raining yesterday and the day before, but you got 100% there. All right. Excellent. Okay, good. So we definitely have an idea of how to use the polls. All right. Like I said, there are other tools that you could use through share screen, the share screen feature, which might include game-based applications, and other, these things are really for engagement. So URLs of videos, as I mentioned before, with YouTube and so on. And I do a whole session on game-based learning. Hopefully we could do one of those during the semester, and we can take it from there. All right. I think that brings us to the end of our particular session today. We covered quite a bit in quite a short space of time. Are there any other questions?
Yes, maybe it has nothing to do with this workshop, but is there any way that we could make a YouTube video for, say, a lab, since we have to work remotely or virtually?
Right. If you wanted to make a video, you could do that using, you may not need, well, okay, a quick and dirty video. Yes, you can do that.
Okay.
When I say quick and dirty, something just, what's that?
You have to have a camera?
Yes, you'll have to have a camera. Now, if it's something quick and dirty, you might want to have, I'm not sure what kind of phone you might have. A phone might be okay. With you might need someone to actually, yes. Or an Apple or whatever kind of phone it might be. Once it has a good camera, you may want to have someone hold the camera for you, hold the phone for you, or you might have it on a tripod. Or prop somewhere, but just make sure it's something that is, now remember, this is for a quick and dirty kind of thing, not a polished, refined, professional video. Just a quick and dirty. If you want to kind of show how to uproot a plant, I'm just giving an example,
it has
right?
to be polished though. It has to be polished though.
It has to be polished. Well, in a case like that, if it's a professional video recording, then you probably want to, you might have to engage your media team. I don't know if you have any audio. Yes.
Okay.
Who might be able to do that part of it for you.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. But
Thanks.
Once you do that, you can upload it. I would recommend that you upload it to YouTube instead of sending the video straight into My Learning. Why? Because it takes up less space. It less space on the servers and so on in the back end, and it's also less space on students if they decide to download it or if they try to access it and so on. It's just better when you upload it into YouTube, and you probably have a YouTube channel already because you probably have a Gmail account. So it's something to consider. Yeah.
Hi, Justin. I want to ask, I have been having, and I don't mind sharing this with everybody. For the last what, 18 months, I've been constantly on my laptop teaching, and I'm having issues with my neck. So I invested in my iPad with iPencil. I wonder, my question to you is, can I access Blackboard with all the tools that we just went through, using my iPad and using my pencil also to do the normal annotations? Have you had that experience of whether it's equally effective?
So you're saying, let me make sure I understand that question. You're saying if you use your iPad and some of the other apps that you have used, can you repeat the question? I'm not sure if I quite understand.
Okay, so let's just say, instead of using my MacBook, right? Instead of using the laptop, can I access all that we're doing here, like through the web? Go on My Learning, come onto Blackboard through my, let's say, the iPad. Is that possible? And if it is possible, would there be any limitations in how I access all of the tools that you would have described for us today?
No, if you were to try to access from your a mobile device, let's say a tablet or even your laptop for that matter, or your phone, no, there wouldn't be, features wouldn't be unavailable. What they might be is you might have to navigate differently. Yeah. the layout of it might change a little bit. So let's say, for example, if you're on your laptop, because of the screen size and so on, it's going to be a little different. It's kind of like Zoom. You ever access Zoom on your laptop and Zoom on your phone, and you realize
Yeah, for sure,
right.
It's different. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm talking about. It's very much like Zoom.
Okay. Because I would have access to all my files, with the syncing, I using
Right.
the iPad, I wouldn't have a problem reaching any file that I want. I was just hoping that I can be physically and differently comfortable while using my tablet instead of sitting down with the laptop,
Right. What I tend to do is, and if it might help, is I log in from 2 devices. Now, you can't log in from 2 devices using the same account, but what I do is, and just as a backup, I will log in from my learning and so on my laptop, but then
Yeah.
I would send the link to myself and log in from my phone outside of my learning. Because sometimes when you get the link, you could log in as well. All you need is the link.
Yeah.
And once I'm in from both sides, then I can make the login from my phone an administrator. So if my laptop fails, I can always keep things running because I'm on my phone until my laptop comes up. Yeah?
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good also. Yeah, I just don't want to try. I just don't want to try anything that would sort of derail a lecture session itself. So is
Right.
there any way I can practice this outside of an actual linked to an actual course?
You could practice it. Let's see. We can give you a test course. Once you have access to My Learning and the contractual stuff and all that, you should be able to access the test environment and practice with Blackboard there. If you'd like that, you could send an email to me and we could organize that for you. And in
Okay.
fact, you could build your course site there and then we just copy it over, or you could copy it over to the live course when you get that time.
Yeah, that sounds great. So I will
Yeah?
do that. Yeah.
Okay, no problem at all. Any other questions?
Well, Justin, I just want to say thanks personally and on behalf of others for doing a good job. And good means, in my mind, that you were clear, you were effective, but you allowed easy participation, which is really a big thing for me. All right, so
Oh,
thank you for
great.
that.
Thank you for that. You're most welcome. Yeah. You may see, and I'm glad that it was so impactful, and I look forward to providing any further assistance you might need. You may get a link for a quick evaluation of this session. Just so we get some idea of how to improve it, what worked, what we might need to work on, and that sort of thing. And of course, we are here to provide you with the support that you would need to ensure that your remote teaching and learning experience is effective, is exemplary, is part of the whole best practice model. All right. So feel free to send me an email if you need any additional help. We will be sending the link to the recording subsequent to this session. So some of those who may need it but couldn't attend, I think Marsha mentioned some of those persons earlier, they may get to see it. And also for you, if you want a quick refresher or to review some of the things that we covered today. All right. As usual, guys, keep the sessions, your teaching and learning experience, collaborative, engaging. Think outside the box. And even when you're thinking outside the box, be sure to test everything to make sure it works properly. And have fun with it. Have fun with it. So thank you so much. for attending this session, for participating in today's session. And I look forward to hearing from you and seeing the great stuff you're about to do. All right.
Thank you very much, Justin, for your continuous support for our program. We really appreciate it. And I have attended so many of these sessions, but I always pick up something new every time. So I always appreciate that.
No problem at all. You're most welcome. I'm happy it is useful and impactful to you and the team. All right.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Have a good afternoon, everyone. I'm just looking at the chat just before we go. Oh, you're most welcome, Laura. You're welcome.
So take care, everybody. I gotta run. Take care. Thanks again, Justin.
Great. Have a good evening, everyone.
Yeah, bye. Have a good weekend.